I was talking to a friend the other day. He's got a good job, nice house, beautiful family. But there was something in his eyes, a kind of restlessness, a hunger for something more, and it hit me. How many of us are walking around feeling that same thing? That nagging sense that we're capable of so much more, but we're stuck in a life that doesn't quite fit. It's like we're living someone else's dream, isn't it? We wake up, go through the motions day after day, but deep down we know there's more. We can feel it. That spark of potential just waiting to be ignited. Well, it's time to wake up. It's time to rebuild your life. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the time is right. Now, because if not now, when? When was the last time you truly felt alive? I mean, really alive. Heart pounding, nerves tingling, every sense heightened. For too many of us, that feeling is a distant memory, buried under layers of routine and responsibility. That aliveness, that vitality, it's still there. It's been there all along, waiting for you to rediscover it. Life has a funny way of sneaking up on us. We start out with big dreams, great ambitions, but then bit by bit, we settle. We compromise. We tell ourselves, this is just how it is. Before we know it, years have passed, and we're living a life we never really chose. It's like we're stuck in a dream going through the motions, but never fully present. We work jobs we don't love, maintain relationships that don't fulfill us, and pursue goals that don't truly matter to us. And all the while, that spark inside us, that unique brilliance that makes us who we are, it starts to dim. It doesn't have to be this way. Not for one more day. Not for one more hour. Not for one more minute. You can keep sleepwalking through life, or you can wake up. You can choose to take back control, to rebuild your life from the ground up. Now I know what you're thinking. Easier said than done. And you're right, it's not easy. Waking up means facing some hard truths. It means acknowledging where you've fallen short, where you've let yourself down. It means taking a long, hard look in the mirror and being honest about what you see. That discomfort, that uneasiness you feel when you start to wake up, that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's the best thing that could happen to you, because that discomfort is the first sign of growth. It's your soul's way of telling you, hey, we've got work to do. Waking up means recognizing that you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the labels others have put on you. You are a being of infinite potential, capable of reinventing yourself at any moment. It means understanding that every day, every hour, every minute is a new opportunity to make a different choice, to take a different path, to become a different person. You've got to want it, really want it, because the world isn't going to wake you up. Your boss isn't going to wake you up. Your spouse, your friends, your kids, they can't wake you up. Only you can do that. So I'm asking you, are you ready? Are you ready to shake off the slumber of mediocrity? Are you ready to reclaim your power, to tap into that wellspring of potential within you? Are you ready to rebuild your life? Not according to someone else's blueprint, but according to your own deepest desires and highest aspirations? Because if you're truly ready, then everything, and I mean everything, is about to change. The life you've been dreaming of, it's not just possible, it's inevitable. But only if you wake up, only if you choose it, only if you're willing to do the work. So what's it going to be? Will you hit the snooze button one more time? All right, let's get down to brass tacks. If you're going to rebuild your life, you need to know exactly what you're working with. It's time for a brutally honest assessment of where you are right now. You wouldn't start renovating a house without first inspecting the foundation, the wiring, the plumbing, would you? Of course not. You'd want to know what's solid, what needs work, and what needs to be torn down completely. Well, your life is no different. So let's take inventory. And I mean a real no-holds-barred inventory. No sugarcoating, no excuses, no blaming circumstances or other people. Just the cold, hard truth about where you stand right now. Let's start with your finances. What's the state of your bank account? Your debts, your investments? Are you living paycheck to paycheck, or do you have a cushion? Are you on track for retirement, or is that something you're putting off thinking about? Write it all down. Every penny you owe, every asset you have. Get it all out in the open? Now, how about your health? When was the last time you had a checkup? How's your energy level throughout the day? Are you at a healthy weight? How's your diet? Your exercise routine? Be honest with yourself. If you're not taking care of your body, all the success in the world won't mean a thing. Your relationships, are they nourishing you or draining you? Do you have people in your life who support your dreams, who challenge you to grow? Or are you surrounded by naysayers and energy vampires? What about your romantic relationship if you're in one? Is it a partnership that's helping you both become better versions of yourselves? How about your career? Are you doing work that fulfills you? That challenges you. That allows you to use your unique gifts and talents? Or are you just punching a clock, counting down the hours until the weekend? Be honest about where you stand professionally and whether it aligns with where you want to go. Now, let's dig a little deeper. What about your personal growth? When was the last time you learned a new skill, read a book that changed your perspective, stepped out of your comfort zone? Are you growing or are you stagnant? And what about your spiritual life? I'm not talking about religion necessarily, but about your connection to something larger than yourself. Do you have a sense of purpose? A set of guiding principles that inform your decisions? Or are you feeling adrift, unsure of your place in the world? As you're doing this assessment, you might feel a temptation to judge yourself, to beat yourself up over the areas where you're falling short. Don't. This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. It's about getting a clear, unvarnished picture of where you are so you can figure out where you need to go. Remember, wherever you are right now, it's okay. It's just your starting point. It doesn't define you, and it certainly doesn't limit you. It's simply where you're beginning this journey of rebuilding your life. Now, once you've done this assessment, I want you to do something that might seem counterintuitive. I want you to find something to be grateful for in each area of your life. Even if things look bleak, there's always something to appreciate. Maybe you're in debt, but you're grateful for the lessons you're learning about financial management. Maybe your health isn't great, but you're grateful for the wake-up call to start taking better care of yourself. This gratitude isn't about complacency. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of challenges, there's always something positive to build on. It's about shifting your mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. So there you have it. That's your current reality. It might not be pretty. It might not be where you want to be, but it's real. And that reality, that's your raw material. That's what you have to work with as you start this process of rebuilding your life. Remember, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. But now that you've acknowledged it, now that you've shown a light on every corner of your life, you're ready to dream, ready to plan, and most importantly, ready to act. Because the life you want, it's waiting for you. But first, you've got to be honest about where you're starting from, and now you are. You know, this reminds me of a story. There was this farmer I knew, owned a small plot of land that had been in his family for generations. Every year, he'd plant the same crops his father had planted and his grandfather before that. Corn, beans, the usual stuff, and every year he'd scrape by, just barely making ends meet. One day, a stranger passed through his village, stopped to chat with the farmer who started complaining about his meager harvest, how hard it was to keep the farm afloat. The stranger listened patiently, then asked a simple question. Have you ever thought about planting something different? The farmer was taken aback. Different? But this is what we've always planted. It's what we know. The stranger smiled. reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of seeds the farmer had never seen before. "Try these," he said. "They might take more work to grow, but the payoff, well, you'll see." Now, the farmer was skeptical, but something about the stranger's confidence made him take the seeds. That year, alongside his usual crops, he planted these new seeds in a small corner of his field. Let me tell you, those new plants were demanding. They needed more water, more care, more attention than anything he'd grown before. There were times he was tempted to give up, go back to what he knew. But he persevered. When harvest time came, the farmer couldn't believe his eyes. The new crop yielded more than he'd ever seen. And not just in quantity, the quality was exceptional. Merchants from towns far and wide came to buy it, offering prices he'd never dreamed of. From that day forward, the farmer's life changed. He expanded his fields, tried new techniques, never stopped learning and experimenting. His farm prospered beyond his wildest dreams. Those seeds, they weren't just seeds. They were the seeds of change. They represented a new way of thinking, a willingness to step out of his comfort zone, to try something different. We all have those seeds within us. Seeds of potential, of change, of a better life, but they won't grow on their own. They need nurturing. They need attention. They need us to be willing to do things differently, to put in the work even when we don't see immediate results. What seeds are you planting in your life? Are you sticking with the same old crops, or are you willing to try something new? Because that's where real change begins. That's how you start to rebuild your life. Vision. Not the kind you get checked at the optometrist, but the kind that lights a fire in your belly and gets you out of bed in the morning. The kind that makes you say, "This is what I was born to do." If you're going to rebuild your life, you need to know what you're building towards. Otherwise, you're just wandering aimlessly, hoping to stumble onto something good. And hope, my friend, is not a strategy. What do you want? And I mean really want. Not what your parents want for you. Not what society tells you you should want. Not what you think you can settle for. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine it's 5 years from now, and you've created the life of your dreams. What does it look like? What are you doing? Who are you with? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Get specific. If financial freedom is your goal, what does that mean exactly? How much money do you have in the bank? What's your monthly income? What kind of lifestyle are you living? If it's about your career, what position do you hold? What kind of impact are you making? What does your day-to-day look like? Maybe it's about relationships. What kind of partner are you? What kind of friends do you have in your life? How do you show up for your family? Or perhaps it's about personal growth. What new skills have you mastered? What adventures have you embarked on? How have you expanded your horizons? Don't hold back. Don't limit yourself based on what you think is realistic or practical. Dream big, because if your dreams don't scare you a little, they're not big enough. You've got to make this vision so vivid, so real in your mind that you can taste it. You've got to feel it in your bones, because that feeling, that clarity, that's what's going to drive you forward when things get tough. And believe me, they would get tough. But here's the thing about a clear vision. It turns I can't into how can I. It turns obstacles into opportunities. It gives you the courage to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, to do the things that scare you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I don't know what I want? What if I'm not sure about my vision? And to that I say, start anyway. Start with what you do know. Start with what you don't want and work backwards from there. Maybe you don't know exactly what career you want, but you know you want to make a difference in people's lives. Maybe you're not sure about the specifics of your ideal relationship, but you know you want to feel loved and supported. Start there. The clarity will come as you move forward. Your vision isn't set in stone. It can and will evolve as you grow and change. That's okay. The important thing is that you have a direction, a North Star to guide you. Write it down. All of it, get it out of your head and onto paper. Make it real. Make it tangible. And then read it every single day. Let it seep into your subconscious. Let it become a part of who you are. What you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. That's not just positive thinking. It's a fundamental law of success. Your vision is the blueprint for the life you're about to build. It's the seed from which your new reality will grow. So make it count, make it inspiring, make it worthy of the person you're capable of becoming. Remember, you're not just rebuilding your life, you're reimagining it. You're redefining what's possible. You're creating a future that pulls you forward with excitement and anticipation. So dream big, aim high, and never, ever settle for less than you're capable of achieving. Because the life of your dreams, it's waiting for you. But first, you've got to see it. You've got to believe it. And then, you've got to go out and create it. Where the rubber meets the road. You've got your vision, and that's great. But a vision without action is just a daydream. What transforms that vision into reality? Daily disciplines. Success isn't about grand gestures or heroic efforts. It's about what you do day in and day out, when no one's watching, when you don't feel like it, when it seems like it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It matters more than you can imagine. If you improve just 1% every day in a year, you'll be 37 times better. That's the power of compound growth, and it works in every area of your life. Let's break it down. Say you want financial freedom. Your daily disciplines might include tracking every penny you spend, reading about investing for 30 minutes, and putting aside a portion of your income, no matter how small. Each of these actions might seem insignificant on their own, but do them consistently day after day and watch what happens. Or maybe you're focused on your health. Your daily disciplines could be exercising for 30 minutes, preparing nutritious meals, getting 8 hours of sleep, and drinking enough water. Again, none of these are earth-shattering on their own, but together, over time, they'll transform your health and energy levels. What about relationships? Daily disciplines here might look like expressing gratitude to someone in your life, actively listening without interrupting or scheduling quality time with loved ones. Small actions, big impact. The key word here is daily. It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but I've tried to build habits before. It never sticks. And I get it. Building new habits isn't easy. If it were, everyone would be living their dream life. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So if you want to change your life, you've got to change your systems. You've got to make it easy to do the right things and hard to do the wrong things. Want to exercise more? Put your workout clothes next to your bed the night before. Want to eat healthier? Prep your meals for the week on Sunday. Want to save more money? Set up automatic transfers to your savings account. Start small, ridiculously small. Want to build a reading habit? Don't start with an hour a day. Start with 1 page. 1 page is easy. 1 page you can do no matter how tired or busy you are. And once you've built that habit, you can gradually increase. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about consistency. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Willpower. Here's the truth. Willpower is like a muscle. It gets fatigued with use. That's why it's so hard to resist that cookie at the end of a long, stressful day. The more you exercise that willpower muscle, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to stick to your daily disciplines. So how do you strengthen your willpower? By keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say you're going to do something, do it, no matter how small. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're building trust with the most important person in your life, you. And here's another thing about daily disciplines. They compound. That workout you do today doesn't just make you a little stronger today. It makes tomorrow's workout a little easier. That money you save today doesn't just increase your bank balance. It gives you more to invest tomorrow, which leads to even more growth. But perhaps the most powerful effect of daily disciplines is this. They change how you see yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, every time you do what you said you'd do, you're reinforcing a new identity. You're becoming the kind of person who does these things. And once you see yourself that way, it becomes easier and easier to keep going. So what daily disciplines are you going to commit to? What small actions are you going to take every day? Rain or shine, motivated or not, that will move you closer to your vision. Choose them wisely, commit to them fully, and watch as they transform your life, one day at a time. Because remember, the way we do anything is the way we do everything. Your daily disciplines aren't just habits. They're the building blocks of the life you're creating. Something that's guaranteed to happen on your journey, obstacles and setbacks. They're not just possible, they're inevitable. And that's a good thing. You heard me right? It's a good thing. Why? Because obstacles are not there to stop you. They're there to test you, to see how badly you want it, to see if you're worthy of the life you're trying to create. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Easy for you to say. You don't know what I'm up against, and you're right, I don't. But here's what I do know. The size of the obstacle is never the issue. What matters is the size of you. When you decide to rebuild your life, you're declaring war on mediocrity. And mediocrity doesn't go down without a fight. It will throw everything it's got at you. Doubt, fear, procrastination, the temptation to give up when things get tough. Those obstacles aren't your enemy. They're your teacher. They're showing you where you need to grow, where you need to get stronger, where you need to develop new skills or new ways of thinking. If you could achieve your dreams without any obstacles, without any struggle, what would that say about your dreams? Probably that they're not big enough. So when you hit a wall, and you will hit walls, don't see it as a sign to turn back. See it as a challenge to climb higher, to dig deeper, to become more than you were before. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. The only difference between where you are and where you want to be is the lessons you haven't learned yet and the skills you haven't developed yet. Setbacks, they're going to happen. You're going to have days where it feels like you're moving backwards, where all your hard work seems to unravel. And in those moments, it's easy to think, what's the point? Why even bother? A setback is not a failure unless you stop. It's just feedback. It's information about what doesn't work, which brings you one step closer to finding out what does work. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset you need to adopt. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. So how do you deal with obstacles and setbacks? First, expect them. Don't be surprised when they show up. Plan for them. Ask yourself, what could go wrong? How will I handle it when it does? Second, change your relationship with them. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? There's always a lesson if you're willing to look for it. Third, remember your why. When things get tough, when you feel like giving up, reconnect with your vision. Remember why you started this journey in the first place. Let that fuel you through the tough times. Fourth, take action. Any action? Because action breeds clarity. You might not know exactly what to do, but you can always do something, and often it's in the doing that the path forward becomes clear. Fifth, surround yourself with the right people. People who believe in you, who support your dreams, who will pick you up when you fall and push you to keep going. And finally, celebrate your resilience. Every obstacle you overcome, every setback you bounce back from is proof of your strength. It's evidence that you're growing, that you're becoming the person capable of living the life you dream of. Remember, the journey of rebuilding your life is not about avoiding obstacles. It's about becoming the kind of person who can overcome any obstacle. It's about developing the strength, the wisdom, the resilience to handle whatever life throws at you. So bring on the obstacles, bring on the setbacks, because with every challenge you face, with every setback you overcome, you're not just rebuilding your life, you're rebuilding yourself. And that, my friend, is the greatest victory of all. You know, this reminds me of a story about a young sculptor. This guy, fresh out of art school, was given a massive block of marble and tasked with creating a masterpiece. Now, he had all the tools, all the training, but standing in front of that enormous, unforgiving stone, he felt overwhelmed. Day after day, he'd chip away at the marble. Sometimes he'd make good progress. Other times it felt like he was going backward. The stone was hard, his tools would break, and often he'd stand there, doubting if he had what it took to bring out the beauty he knew was hidden within. One particularly frustrating day, he was ready to give up. He went to his old master complaining, "This is impossible. I'll never create anything beautiful from this stubborn rock." The master smiled, the knowing smile of someone who's been there before. He said, "My boy, the masterpiece is already there. Your job isn't to create it, but to uncover it. Every chip, every scratch, every seemingly small action is revealing the beauty hidden within." Encouraged, the young sculptor returned to his work with renewed vigor. He worked tirelessly, day after day, month after month, and slowly but surely, a form began to emerge from the stone. It wasn't always easy. There were days when he felt he had taken a step backward, days when he was tempted to give up. But he persevered, remembering his master's words. And finally, after years of dedicated effort, he stepped back and beheld a sculpture of breathtaking beauty. What had once been a rough block of stone was now a work of art that would be admired for generations. Rebuilding your life is a lot like sculpting that masterpiece. The life you dream of, it's already there inside you. Your job is to chip away everything that isn't that life, every habit you break, every new skill you learn, every obstacle you overcome. It's all part of revealing the masterpiece within. And just like the sculptor, there will be days when it feels like you're not making progress, when the stone seems too hard, when you're tempted to give up. But remember, every small action, every tiny improvement is bringing you closer to uncovering your masterpiece. So keep chipping away, keep refining, keep believing in the beauty of your dreams, because the masterpiece, that is your ideal life. It's already there, waiting for you to uncover it. Relationships. Now, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, though those are important too. I'm talking about all the connections in your life. Family, friends, mentors, colleagues, because here's the truth. No one ever achieved greatness in isolation. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Take a moment and really consider that. Because here's a hard truth. You are the average of those 5 people. Their habits, their attitudes, their success levels, they're all rubbing off on you, whether you realize it or not. So, if you want to rebuild your life, you've got to take a good, hard look at your relationships. Are the people around you lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they pushing you to grow or encouraging you to stay comfortable? Are they dream supporters or dream stealers? Now, I'm not saying you need to cut people out of your life left and right, but you do need to be intentional about who you're spending your time with and how much influence they have over you. Start by seeking out mentors, people who have achieved what you want to achieve. Find ways to spend time with them, learn from them. And if you can't connect with them directly, read their books, listen to their podcasts, watch their videos. Surround yourself with their wisdom. Next, look for peers who are on a similar journey. People who are also committed to growth, to becoming better. Iron sharpens iron, as they say. When you're around others who are pushing themselves, it naturally encourages you to do the same. Building meaningful relationships isn't just about what others can do for you. It's about what you can contribute as well. How can you add value to others? How can you support them in their journey? How can you be a positive force in their lives? When you approach relationships with this mindset of mutual growth and contribution, something magical happens. You create a virtuous cycle of positivity and progress. You lift others as you climb, and in doing so, you climb even higher yourself. Building deep, meaningful relationships requires vulnerability. It requires you to let your guard down, to be real, to share your struggles as well as your successes. I know that can be scary. We've all been hurt before. We've all had people let us down. But here's the thing, without vulnerability, without opening yourself up, you'll never experience the depth of connection that truly transforms lives. So take that risk. Share your dreams. Ask for help when you need it. Celebrate your wins no matter how small. And when you stumble, don't hide it. Let the people in your circle support you. Remember, rebuilding your life isn't a solo sport. It's a team effort. And the team you build around you can make all the difference. They can provide support when you're struggling, celebrate with you when you succeed, and push you to heights you never thought possible. Make building meaningful relationships a priority. Invest time and energy into connecting with others. Be intentional about who you let into your inner circle. And always look for ways to add value to others. Because in the end, the richest life isn't measured by money or achievements. It's measured by the depth and quality of our relationships. So build them wisely, nurture them carefully, and watch as they help you create a life beyond your wildest dreams. A compound effect of small actions. This is a principle that's so simple yet so powerful that once you truly grasp it, it'll change everything. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. They're always looking for the big break, the quantum leap that will catapult them to success overnight. But that's not how real, lasting change happens. Real transformation is the result of small, consistent actions compounded over time. Imagine you could get just 1% better every day. Just 1%. That doesn't sound like much, does it? But do you know what happens if you get 1% better every day for a year? You end up 37 times better. That's the power of compound growth. Now, let's break this down into practical terms. Say you want to improve your finances. You decide to save just $5 a day. That's not much, right? Most people wouldn't even notice it. But if you do that consistently and invest it wisely over 30 years, it could grow to over $300,000. That's the power of small actions compounded over time. Maybe you decide to walk just 10 minutes a day. Again, not much. But over a year, that's 60 hours of exercise you weren't doing before. That could be the difference between staying where you are and losing 10 pounds. The same principle applies to learning. Reading just 10 pages a day might not feel like much, but over a year, that's 3,650 pages, or about 18 average-sized books. Think about how much knowledge you could gain from reading 18 books in your field. These small actions don't just add up, they compound. That road walk you take today doesn't just burn a few calories, it makes tomorrow's walk a little easier. That money you save today doesn't just sit in your account. It earns interest, which then earns more interest. But there's a flip side to this, and it's just as powerful. Negative actions compound too. That extra slice of pizza, that hour of TV instead of reading, that unnecessary purchase. They might not seem like much in the moment, but compounded over time, they can derail your progress. So, how do you harness the power of the compound effect? First, you've got to think small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Instead, focus on those 1% improvements. What tiny action can you take today that will move you a little bit closer to your goals? Second, be consistent. The compound effect doesn't work if you only do it sometimes. It requires daily, consistent effort. Remember, It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently. Third, be patient. The compound effect takes time. In the beginning, it might feel like you're not making any progress at all, but trust the process. Keep going, because one day you'll look up and be amazed at how far you've come. Fourth, track your progress. When you're dealing with small actions, it's easy to lose sight of the big picture. So keep a record. Measure your improvements. Celebrate your tiny gains. They all add up. Finally, remember this. The compound effect works both ways. So be mindful of your choices. Every action, no matter how small, is either taking you closer to your goals or further away from them. There is no neutral ground. So, as you set out to rebuild your life, don't underestimate the power of small actions. Don't wait for the perfect moment to make a big change. Start small, but start now. Because those small actions, those tiny improvements compounded over time, they're not just powerful, they're unstoppable. And that's how you rebuild a life. Not in one giant leap, but in 1,000 tiny steps, each building on the last, each taking you closer to the person you want to become and the life you want to live. Let's dive into something that's absolutely critical if you're serious about rebuilding your life. Cultivating a growth mindset. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is a growth mindset? Well, it's the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your talents, they're not fixed traits. They can be developed through effort, good strategies, and input from others. This is in stark contrast to a fixed mindset, where people believe their basic qualities are set in stone. With a fixed mindset, you're constantly trying to prove yourself, afraid of making mistakes, and likely to give up easily when things get tough. But with a growth mindset, every challenge becomes an opportunity to learn. Every setback is a chance to grow stronger. Every bit of effort is a step toward mastery. Nobody's born with a pure growth mindset. We all have areas where we tend to be fixed in our thinking. The key is to recognize those areas and actively work to shift our perspective. So how do you develop a growth mindset? First, you've got to become aware of your inner dialogue. When you face a challenge, what's your immediate reaction? Do you think I can't do this, or do you think I can't do this yet? That little word, yet, makes all the difference. It acknowledges that with effort and learning, you can grow and improve. Next, embrace challenges. Don't shy away from them. See them as opportunities to stretch yourself, to develop new skills. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Learn to love the process, not just the result. Too often, we're so focused on the outcome that we forget to enjoy the journey. But it's in the journey, the hard work, the struggles, the small victories, that real growth happens. Criticism? Don't take it personally. See it as valuable feedback that can help you improve. Seek it out. In fact, ask for input on how you can do better. When others succeed, don't feel threatened. Be inspired. Learn from them. Their success doesn't diminish your potential. It expands what you know is possible. In a growth mindset, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. It's a necessary step on the path to achievement. So when you fail, and you will fail, we all do, don't beat yourself up. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to grow? Remember, the brain is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it gets. So take on new experiences, learn new skills, push yourself out of your comfort zone. That's where the magic happens. Add yet to your vocabulary. I'm not good at this. Yet, I don't understand. Yet, I can't do it. Yet, it's a simple word, but it opens up a world of possibility. Cultivating a growth mindset isn't always easy. It requires constant vigilance, a willingness to challenge your own assumptions and beliefs. But the payoff, it's enormous. Because when you truly believe that you can grow, learn, and improve, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So as you set out to rebuild your life, remember this: your potential is not predetermined. It's not set in stone. With effort, with learning, with persistence, you can grow in ways you never thought possible. That's the power of a growth mindset. And that's how you turn the life you dream of into the life you live.